Well, 5 children have been burnt beyond recognition. This is following a shack fire at the Itireleng informal settlement near Laudium in Pretoria. The cause of the fire is not clear at this stage. A Tshwane Emergency Services spokesperson, Charles Mabasa, reported that the parents of the children have been taken into police custody. Our reporter, Offensive Stimo's on this story. Let's cross to him live. Offensive, 5 children burnt beyond recognition. This is a tragic story. I mean, just how much information have we gathered at this point about what exactly might have happened?
Thank you very much, Naledi. Yes, it's quite a somber morning here in Itireleng informal settlement just outside Laudium. As you mentioned that the residents of this informal settlement actually woke up to the shocking news at around 4 a.m. Yesterday morning where there was this fire that was burning here. It's understood that the parents of about 5 kids that have perished in this particular blaze actually went out partying from what reports that we've been getting, and they left the children in, and in fact they locked them in that particular shack. So by the time the fire broke out, the children were actually locked inside a shack. In fact, if my colleague Motsabi Mekwa can actually show you here, there's actually one of the shacks that actually was slightly burned during the time when the fire actually broke out. You can see that there is still a chain on the door. I believe that this is a way that when they sleep, they actually lock themselves in by using this particular chain. And if we can just take a walk about, you can see that there's actually about 5 shacks that were actually involved in this particular fire, and there could have been more casualties, because from the reports that we get, there was 2 people that were actually residing in this particular shack, and then there's another one next to me where, you know, they were actually stuck in their shacks, and then they had to be broken out and rescued. There was a man and a woman in these 2 shacks that were actually rescued because now they were not able to free themselves from their shacks when the fire broke out. We understand that after they were rescued, that's when they informed the people that actually rescued them to say that there were about 5 children that were actually sleeping right here on the same bed. And as we were speaking to the local councillor, he was explaining that it's not yet clear what could have actually caused the fire. It could have been from an illegal connection, but there's also a 2-plate stove that's actually there. And we know that, you know, when it's chilly, sometimes that's what informal settlement dwellers would use just to heat up the shack that they might be in. So it's not yet clear. Speculation is rife that it either could have been because of illegal electricity connection, or because, you know, the hot plate stove was actually left unattended overnight, and as you can imagine, it was just the children in their house, and unfortunately that's when the tragic unfolded. We are expecting that the MEC for human settlement will actually be visiting the area to come and see what is actually transpiring here. And I can tell you, Naledi, you know, these shacks are actually quite close to each other, so it is a fire hazard that would actually break out. You know, you expect that when a fire would actually break out, there's more than one person that would actually perish, or more than one home that would actually be damaged by the fire. And from what we heard this morning, the 2 mothers that actually left the kids unattended are actually behind bars as we speak, and they will definitely be appearing in court. It's not yet clear what are the charges that have been leveled against them. But when we were speaking to the father, who was actually so inconsolable this morning, he explained to us that 3 of his kids actually bid farewell to him when they left to come here, saying they are going to their aunts to come and spend some time with their cousins, only not knowing that, you know, they would actually be left unattended and to pass on. So we were saying that he actually blames himself, because he could have just taken the responsibility to say that no, it's late and they should rather sleep and they'll see their cousins the following day. But such, you know, you can never tell what would actually transpire later, and that's what actually happened. And unfortunately, he is inconsolable this morning.
Yeah, truly heartbreaking, that story. And of course, those mothers in custody, as those details do emerge, do come back to us. But quickly, Offensive, do we know the ages of these children at this stage?
Yes, at this stage we do know that, you know, they are between the ages of, there's one who was 1 year, 5 months, there's one who's 7 years, you know, so these are actually the young children that are actually not supposed to be left unattended overnight.